helping other people to achieve their goals and their dreams. In both of those, I was able to do that. And the other was they afforded me the ability to go and travel around the world, which I still enjoy to this day. In fact, the end of next week, I'm off to Munich to satisfy both of my passions. My wife is singing at the Munich State Opera, so I'm going to see her perform there. And then at the end of the month, as you can probably see from the slide behind me and Mr. Becker and also Maxine, we are all going to be in Barcelona for a rather special event. So in the last 10 or 15 years, I spent most of my time actually teaching and training teams of people, sometimes as many as 2,000 in one go. And I've enjoyed sharing the stages of the world with some of the really great trainers in our industry. But I wasn't really thinking of building another team. But that all changed on the 5th of May. Life does have a funny way of throwing the old curved ball in your direction when you're least expecting it. And that came whistling my way on the 5th of May. So I was contacted by a very good friend of mine called James Lee. Now, for those of you that don't know James Lee, first of all, I've known him for 25 years. I've worked together with him for the last 3 or 4 quite closely. But James is one of life's special people. He's very kind, very ethical, very hardworking, very principled. And above all of that, he has that one wonderful quality that I so admire in human beings, and that's the ability to always keep his word. So you know exactly where you stand with someone like James. Anyway, he called me up on the 5th of May, which is only about 5.5, well, it was the 5th of November, so it'll be 6 months in a couple of days. And he was pretty excited, which is most unlike James, because James and I are a couple of people that have been around this industry for a long time, and we don't do exaggeration, we don't do hyperbole. But he actually said to me, listen, I've just come out of a meeting, I'm in Kuala Lumpur, with a couple of executives, and they are launching a new business in about 3 weeks' time. And he said, quite frankly, Tony, I've never seen anything like it. So I asked him if he'd be kind enough to explain it to me, which he did the next day. And for me, it was one of those jaw-dropping moments. I sort of went, boom. And I thought, wow, I said, we've got to share this with the rest of the team. And James and I talked about how best to do that, because we could have just done a Zoom call like we're doing tonight. But we decided it was so interesting, so unique, that we would get the team together. So we did. And we all met on the 18th of May in Paris, which was lovely. And we took a very nice hotel, slap bang next to the Eiffel Tower. And 85 of our team members flew over, joined us for the day. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that meeting as we go through the presentation. But I will just say that of the 85 people who attended, every single one of them has since become a registered member of 9M, which is the company we're going to talk about tonight. So what I'm going to do this evening is I'm simply going to share with you the same information that I shared with them on the 18th of May. That information has not changed, although the company has changed out of all recognition from those days to 6 months later. And in order to help me do that, I will share my screen, and I have a little PowerPoint presentation, which Tony or Maxine, just give me a wave when you can see it. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming on.
It's coming on? Great. Fantastic. Should be there now. Yep. Can you see it?
Yeah. Well, you're about to run it, I think. I can see the screen before you start running it.
Great. So, for those of you that have never seen this presentation before, and for those of you that have seen it, welcome to 9M. And 9M does exactly what it says here on the first slide. It's helping its members or its users achieve financial gains together with the help of AI. That's a pretty big sentence. Before I put some meat on the bones, let me get this disclaimer out of the way. Any information I give you tonight will not contain any financial advice. The content and material featured on this presentation are for your education. 9M isn't regulated by any financial authority. That's because it exists solely within the digital marketing and digital finance space or cryptocurrency space, whatever you want to call it. That's a deregulated industry at the moment. So it's always a good idea to do your own research and seek financial advice where required. Now, the last two are really important. All investments, and we will be talking about investments tonight, can go down as well as up. Having said that, in the 5 months, 5.5 months I've been involved, we've never actually, any of us have actually seen them gone down. I mean, maybe that'll happen one day, but they seem to be going up very nicely. And of course, common sense, never invest more in anything, not just this, but never invest more than you can afford to lose. So long as we're all on the same page as far as that's concerned, this presentation will go through two areas. The first area will cover the company, and the second area will cover the payment or the compensation area, so you can see what this company and this business can do for you. And so let me tell you the story of 9M, because it goes back to about 2020, when three groups of people got together. They were some executives of Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest finance houses in the world, a bunch of AI specialist scientists who were at Columbia University, also in New York, and some top quant engineers are people who write those very complex algorithms. And they determined that it would be possible to build an AI computer that basically did the job of a trader. Well, it took them 3 years to construct the one that we're using at the moment. It went through a couple of prototypes. And by 2024, it was ready for testing. So they tested it over a period of an entire year. And on the 21st of May, which was 3 days after our little get-together in Paris, 9M was officially launched. So the first thing you should take away from this is that what we're looking at here is extremely new. Now, 9M's mission is very succinctly wrapped up in this sentence. It's to empower everyone with Wall Street level AI investment capabilities. I tend to say it slightly differently. What they want is they want you to feel comfortable about giving some of your money to this computer that they've invented and just leaving it for the computer to get on with it. Nothing you need to do, because the computer is going to be chugging away 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, trading with your money. And I'll show you on the next slide what that means is, but that's why we call it your Wall Street grade AI financial assistant. It is your financial assistant. So let me introduce you to the computer. It's called NovaMind. Now, NovaMind, as you can see, has the letters TM after it. About 3 months ago, 9M applied to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, and they were granted the trademark for NovaMind, so nobody else can call their computer that. And it is, as I understand it, completely unique in the world. Yes, I know there are other computers out there that are in some way, shape, or form involved with AI and digital currency, but none behaving the way this one does. Now, what's so brilliant about NovaMind is where it's positioned. You see, it's positioned in front of what we call two disruptive trends. That's trends that are simply changing the way we look at things. One of them is digital finance, which is represented by this Bitcoin logo over here. Most of you will know that digital finance started back in January of 2009 with Bitcoin. And when it was launched, it was the first ever currency based on energy. And people laughed at it. They said, that won't work. Well, I mean, to be fair to currency, you know, we could go back 3,000 years to the time of the Romans, when the most precious thing in the world and the currency then was salt. I don't think any of us today use salt to buy and sell things, but they certainly did back in those days. And currency has gone through a number of changes since then. It then moved from, you know, gems, jewels, silver, gold, eventually onto notes and coins and things that we use. But now we're moving into a new area, it's digital finance. And whether you know anything about digital finance or you don't, or whether you've had a good time with it or a bad time with it, whether you love it or hate it, really doesn't matter, because it's here and it's here to stay. And you can just look at where it is today, 2025, and believe about somewhere in the region of $5 trillion is wrapped up in digital currency, which is more than the trade debt of the whole of the United States. And there are about 300,000 digital currencies today. It's a lot of them. And perhaps the one thing you should know about crypto, maybe it hasn't been explained to you this way, is that if you own it, you really own it. Nobody else has it. I mean, you know, when you own pounds and dollars, euros, and stuff like that, when you get involved in the financial institutions world by investing in ISAs and building societies and stuff like that, your money really isn't even your own. And governments can print vast amounts of it to get themselves out of trouble, which just has the effect of increasing inflation, making the rich richer and the poor poorer. But once you own a digital currency, it's yours. You are, if you like, the shareholder, the chairman of the board of directors, and the trader. Except with Nevermind, you don't need to get involved in the trading because that's all done for you by a computer, which is AI powered. Now, AI is the other disruptive trend. There's no one on this call that hasn't heard of AI, but what AI is ability for a machine to basically self-program itself for the future, so it can become more and more, if you like, intelligent and make fewer and fewer mistakes. Now, there are, of course, limitations in AI, but this is particularly interesting in the world of digital finance because this hasn't been done before. Nevermind, as I'll show you on the next slide, is making tens of thousands of transactions in a second. And if any one of those goes wrong, the AI kicks in and immediately analyze it to make sure that that mistake won't happen again in the future. So let's talk a little bit about Nevermind and what it actually does. It's, first of all, it's powering the first AI-led asset management system where AI doesn't assist decisions, it actually makes them. So that's what makes it different to all the others. It's doing the job for us. And if you want to know what it's doing, it's analyzing over 150 financial markets in real time. Never sleeps, you see. It's processing 3,000 news reports every second. That, for me, is perhaps the most important line on the page. You see, any one news report can have an effect on financial markets. It can move them up, it can take them down, but whatever it does, whether they go up or down, it's those news reports that traders around the world are waiting for, because based on what they hear, it will determine what they're going to buy and sell and when they're going to buy and sell it. But the difference between them and Nevermind is making its portfolio decisions in 0.8 of a millisecond, which is 100,000 times faster than any human trader. And if you ever come to one of our summits and you watch Nevermind working, it's just mind-blowing. It's thousands upon thousands of lines of trades going on every sort of second, and virtually all of them are green. And they're only for about $10 or $20 or $30, but they add up, of course. But if any one of them is a red one, then say Nevermind lost a bit of money, AI will kick in and look what happened on that trade and then correct for the future. That's the AI part of it. And it's also looking at 1,000 different crypto assets, the most important 1,000, and doing buying and selling based on the movement of those crypto assets against each other. So that's what it does. We don't have to get involved in any of that. Now, to build and develop a company like this, you need a pretty special guy. And we have one. We have a CEO whose name is Chris Chang. I'd like to share with you how I first met him, because we had gone to Paris on the 18th of May to share with a team this idea of partnering together with 9M. None of us had made that decision at that time, but we did feel it was pretty special. And we'd certainly never heard of anything like Nevermind. Well, Chris Chang, who lives in Los Angeles, by the way, got to hear about the fact that 85 people were meeting to discuss his company. So he jumped on a plane together with his wife, flew all the way from Los Angeles to Paris, and came to our event, which was a lovely surprise for all of us, because we got to hear on day -3, if you like, 3 days before it launched, the entire vision of where this company was going from the man who was actually running it. Now, since then, in the last 5 months, many of us have got to know Chris extremely well. 2 or 3 people on this particular call are part of his advisory committee, something called the Pinnacle Group. And we work very closely with him. I've met him personally 5 times already, and I'll see him again. And you can too, if you want to, if you join us at our summit, which is going to take place on the weekend of the 29th and 30th of November in Barcelona. Chris is no stranger to disruptive technology. Back in 2009, as you can see here, he founded a company making LED lights. And I smile when I look at this, because in 2009, hardly anybody in the world had ever heard of LED. In fact, all of our light bulbs, be they on the street or in the headlamps of our car or in our homes or wherever, they're all filament bulbs using a lot of electricity and based on the same technology that Thomas Edison had come up with about 150 years before. But LED was going to change all of that. In fact, if you look out to the window today or look around your house today, every single light you see is an LED. And Chris got involved right at the beginning of this and won 2 huge contracts to supply the United States Navy with LED for all their ships and things. So successful was he that he floated that company on the NASDAQ in 2012 and made a fortune doing it. He also has other investments. He invests in Scottish whiskey brands, and he has his own Hollywood film financing company, which is also a post-production company. It does special AI post-production special effects work for some of the greatest films you've ever heard of. So all the big sort of adventure films and Lord of the Rings and Men in Black and everything like that, they've all come across Chris's company in Los Angeles. So he's responsible for overseeing and looking at the bottom line of 9M, which he does with incredible vigilance, very hard-working guy on a daily basis to make sure the ship is going in the right direction. He's also responsible for the infrastructure growing around the world. The headquarters are in New York. Los Angeles houses our data center, and that's where Chris lives. The Singapore operations, well, James Lee, my person who showed me this, he lives in Singapore, has been in those operation centers many, many, many times, and the Hong Kong one as well. But planned is Dubai, Mumbai, Seoul, Hanoi, and then Europe is going to be lots and lots of little places because of its diversification, and it's going to expand pretty well all over the world. It's expanding all over the world as it is. Chris told us about a week before the end of October that we had 200,000 people who have now invested with 9M. And then we were told, on the 1st of November, that had doubled to 400,000. So this thing is really growing. So let's have a look at the second part of this presentation and talk a little bit about how we get paid. Okay, how we make our money. Don't forget, we're giving our money to a computer and then forgetting about it. So it all starts with going into something called the strategy fund. So we have 2 funds, and this is the first one. And every single person has to start off here. There's no choice. And the strategy fund is a dual asset, no loss mining fund, which produces a stable token called USDM. Now, if I say, please don't worry. If you're going to get involved in crypto, like any industry, Maxine, could I ask you to lock the room? I don't think there's any point anybody coming in at this stage. If you're going to get involved in cryptocurrency, you're going to hear 1 or 2 terms that might be slightly different to what I call the real financial world. So dual asset means that when we come to invest in 9M, or when we give our money to Nova Mind, we are going to be using 1 or 2 cryptocurrencies. One of them will always be USDT. And I'm sure most of you know that USDT is the crypto version of the United States dollar. So 1 USDT always equals $1. It's very straightforward. The other area, now you can put 100% in USDT if you want, but you can also put 70% USDT and 30% in any other major cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, doesn't really matter. But the genius behind that thought process is that there are actually millions of people around the world who have had what we call a little dabble in cryptocurrency. What that really means is some friend has called them up and said, I think XRP is going to go through the roof in the next year, or Bitcoin is going to be wonderful, Ethereum is going to be, Solana, or why don't you get the Trump meme or something like this, whatever. And their friends still think, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. I might as well do it. So they get a wallet, they buy this thing, and it sits in the wallet day after week after month after year, just bobbing up and down with whatever that particular coin's market happens to be doing. But if you wanted to, you could go into that wallet, if you have one, and bring your XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is, over into the strategy fund, combine it together with USDT, and stake it. That's another term we use. Stake means to invest. Stake it into 9M. And then your fund will still bob up and down with the markets, but it'll actually earn you a percentage every day. And what you're paid in on a daily basis is this coin, this stable token called USDM. And the only thing you need to know about USDM is it too is pegged to the United States dollar. So one USDM equals $1, and you can exchange your USDM to USDT free of charge in the platform, no problem. So how much do you make when you stake? Well, the answer is we have 5 different staking options. They range from 7 days all the way up to 360 days. The longer period of time that you give your money to Novamind for, the higher Novamind will pay you on a daily basis. So the gross daily yield for 7 days is 0.8% a day, and the gross daily yield for 360 days is double that. It's 1.6% a day. Now, you don't get to keep that because that's a gross figure. The gross daily yield is divided into 3, and I'm going to share that with you a little bit later. But what you get to keep is 45% of the gross daily yield. So if you want to know what that looks like, it varies from 0.36% a day. So if you think about it, that's actually 1% every 3 days. So if you were going for, say, 30 days, not that you can with a 7-day plan, if you're going for 30 days, you'd actually be earning 10%. But if you took the same amount of money and stuck it into the 360-day plan, you'd be earning 0.72% a day. And 0.72% a day is about 24% in a month. Okay. In fact, if you want to know what it looks like, we've got a little chart here per somebody who's, for example, put in $1,000. Now, $1,000 at today's exchange rate is exactly £760. It's kind of a sort of reasonable area to get started with, but I'm not suggesting that you do, because you can put in as little as $100, which is 76 quid, or as much as, well, there's no maximum. We put in as much as you like. We've had people in India putting in $500,000. But what you decide to is entirely up to you. This is just an example. If somebody puts in $1,000 for 7 days, that's going to produce $3.60 every day, 0.36%. So at the end of 7 days, it would have produced $25.20, which you are welcome to withdraw on a day-by-day basis as you earn it. So when you earn 360, you can take out what you earn. If you left it, for argument's sake, till the end of the week, then what would happen is you've earned your 25.20, the 1,000 comes back to you. That's what's meant by no loss mining. And so you put 1,000 in and you got 1,025.20 back again. But if you put the same $1,000 in for a year, well, then you're earning double, and you're earning it for much longer. So your $1,000 earning 0.72% is going to pay you $7.20 every day, fixed. And that's going to work out over the period of 360 days at $2,592, which is 259% per annum. So a little bit more, actually, about 2,600. But sorry, 260% per annum. So you put $1,000 in, and at the end of 365 days, 3,592 comes out. So a summary of that is that upon maturity, users can redeem their original dual assets. So whatever you put in, the USDT and the other cryptocurrency, you will get exactly that amount back again. And if your crypto happens to have gone up over the year, you'll get that profit as well. If it's gone down, sorry guys, nothing we can do about that. The USDM, which you're earning on a daily basis, is pegged 1-to-1 to USDT and can be redeemed, as I'll show you later, in the platform for USDT at any time with no cost to you. However, big however here, USDT cannot be converted back into USDM, and that will become significant when I show you the second fund. Whenever you collect your earnings, your daily earnings, the company will keep 5%. And I'll cover all the fees in 3 slides' time. So let's look at the second fund. Don't need to spend too much time on this because it's very similar to the first. We call this the stable fund. And once again, it's a dual asset, no loss mining fund where you can only stake in 2 different currencies. Currency number 1 is always the same, 70% USDT. But currency number 2 is 30% USDM. And let me remind you, the only place in the entire world you can get USDM is from your own strategy fund. So before you go converting it into USDT and gaily taking it out, you may want to think about saving it as you, now I'm not taking questions, Kenya, thank you. You may want to think about keeping your USDM and using it to help you get into the stable fund. And that will become very apparent when I show you the difference between the stable fund and the strategy fund. The stable fund doesn't produce USDM, it produces 9MC. Now, what is 9MC? Well, 9MC is our own cryptocurrency. It's the one that's attached to this company. And I can tell you from having attended a very advanced tokenomics training on Saturday, the company has big, big, big plans going way into the future for 9MC, allocating tremendous growth to this particular coin in the future. So what are the actual plans that are available to you? Well, once again, there's 4 of them here. We don't have a 7-day plan. We've got the others. But these pay 0.3% higher than the strategy fund. So the gross daily yield for 30 days is 1.3%, going up to 360 days, where it's 1.9%. You get to keep 45%, exactly as before. And what that looks like for your daily rewards is over 0.5% a day here, rising up to almost to 0.85% a day over here. And again, if I show you the chart associated with this, for somebody who invests $1,000, that $1,000 invested for 30 days will produce $5.80 every day. So at the end of the month, your $1,000 will have already produced $174. That's 17.4%. Just think about that. You know, if you were to put $1,000 into a building society or a SIP or an ISA or a pension plan, you would be lucky if you got 4% in a year. Consequently, if you could make 17.4% in a month, right, it would take you 5.5 years to duplicate that outside of the crypto space. 5.5 years to do what we can do in 1 month. We can do it even faster if you put it in for 360 days, because that same $1,000 is now doing $8.50 a day. That's going to earn you $3,060 in the year. It's a total for the year of 306, almost 310%. So $1,000 in is 4,060 out. So it's quite alarming when you see those kind of figures, but that's perfectly normal for people who are able to get money and invest it in something, as of course the big boys do in the financial world. They take your money, they invest it in projects, they make billions, and they give it to their shareholders, their chairman, their board of directors, and to their traders, and they give very little back to you, 2, 3, maybe 4% a year. It's the big difference between those two things. So the summary of the stable fund is upon maturity, you get to recover the full value of your original 2 assets, USDT and USDM, with no loss. Staking rewards are distributed in 9MC. Now, 9MC, our cryptocurrency coin, is only available in this platform. The company have not released it yet to what we call the trading platforms of the world, Coin Market Cap and all these other places where you can buy it. So it's only available in here. Consequently, it's been going steadily up since it was introduced. It was introduced on the 6th of June at 19MC equals $1. Last time I looked, I think it was this morning, 19MC equaled $1.78. So it's actually gone up 78%. Now, I've saved quite a lot of 9MC while I've been involved in this, and I'm delighted to see it going up and up and up daily basis. But I don't think we've seen anything yet. The company we're talking in Frankfurt as our last summit about it moving up to almost $100 a coin. It's certainly a strategy to do that. But don't forget, when you're collecting your 9MC, and you can collect it and you can convert it into USDT, there a 5% withdrawal fee applies. So let's have a look at the fees. Well, we've discussed two of them already. The company keeps 5% every single time you collect your assets. Okay, that's what they need to build their offices, pay their staff, run the academy. We've got a superb academy that trains us on all aspects of cryptocurrency, and it's completely free. It's nothing to pay at all for it. All of that, though, comes out of the company's 5%. The 45% is what is taken from the gross daily yield and paid out to you on your daily amounts. So as I said, you've got $1,000, and you've seen the different scales going all the way from 0.36% all the way up to 0.85%, depending on which fund you choose. And where you've got your money staked. That's all comes from the 45% that Novamind is producing on a daily basis. But it does mean that half of the money that Novamind is producing on a daily basis, well, we haven't even spoken about that yet. Let's just talk about that for a second. Half of the turnover of this company is available to us in something called the VIP pool. Okay, now this pool is, as you can imagine, is pretty well huge. Okay, and what happens is the pool is reserved for one kind of person only, and that's the person who wants to help 9M find the next person who's going to join this staking revolution. And I've been doing nothing but for the last 5 months, and I've enjoyed every second of it, watching people's lives change for the better. Now, please note the VIP rewards, if you want them, are entirely optional. There's nothing whatsoever that you need to do other than to recommend 9M to other people if you want to dip your hands into the VIP pool. If you don't, that's fine. You're going to find that just by staking, you can change your financial future without telling a single other soul. But you'll also find that if you start sharing this with other people, well, then the income becomes pretty well, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but it becomes pretty extraordinary. So the first level of VIP rewards is something called the referral bonuses. And you start to collect them if you've got an investment yourself. Remember, the minimum is $100, and you've introduced one other person who has also got an investment. And then you start to collect these bonuses. Now, when you're brand new, we call you a V0, you will be allowed to keep 10% of whatever anyone you've personally introduced is making on a daily basis. So let's say you introduced me, I put $1,000 into the strategy fund. The strategy fund is paying me $7.20 a day. You would be paid an additional 72 cents every single day for the entire duration of that fund, which is 360 days. And as you go up the ranks, and there are ranks, V1, V2, etc., so your direct referral bonus gets less and less until you hit V3 when it goes to 0. And you're thinking, oh, that's a shame. That's a demotivator. Well, no, it isn't, because I'm going to show you a little bit about the ranks. This is a career path. This is for people who want to do what I'm doing, what Tony Becker's doing, what Maxine is doing, what Colin Simmons is doing, and others. This is a real career path for all of us. We all start in the same place, and that's VIP 0, where you get to collect 10% of whatever anybody you introduce is earning on a daily basis from their stakes. That I'm sure you understand. Now, if the people you introduce and the people they introduce, etc., reach a total staking volume of $3,000, 300 USDT, well, then you get promoted to the level of V1. And as a V1, you get to earn 20% of what these people here are earning. So bearing in mind, somebody $3,000 is going to be earning altogether, maybe, 7.2% of that is going to be 21.6%. So you would get to earn 20% of that, which is $4.20 every day. Which, okay, it's not a fortune, but it's why they cut the direct referral down to 7.5, because They've just brought this up, so we're earning an extra, as I said, $4.20 a day, which starts to add up. 30 days later, it's $120, which is great. Anyway, what then happens is that a couple of people in your team, in this V1 team, they decide they want to be V1s. So they each have to find some teams that are going to stake $3,000. And so long as the team volume is at $10,000 and you've got two VIP ones in two separate teams, well, then you get promoted to VIP 2 and up it goes, your reward from the total team, to 30%. And so on and so forth. When you're at VIP 3, the team volume is doing $30,000 and you've got two VIP 2s. So you get to 40%. Okay. And it might interest you to know that at this level, VIP 3, and we've got quite a number of those in the team already, the average daily income from that is about $100 to $120 a day. So that could be an extra $3,000, $4,000 a month just at the VIP 3 level. But it goes on, goes up to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. 9 is the highest. We have a couple of VIP 5s in the team. I'm reliably informed they're making around about $750 to $800 every single day. We have a couple of VIP 6s in the team. They are making significantly more than that, over $2,000 a day. And VIP 7, no one in the team yet has hit VIP 7, but I can tell you that the team that we started in Paris and started on the 21st of May is only 30,000 short, and that will happen in the next 2 days, of this figure here of $3 million, and that's happening in 5 months. And quite frankly, anybody who's looking at this today can easily duplicate and emulate this. In fact, I think it's easier to do it today while everything is beautifully working and in place. Whereas when we started, the company had quite a lot of work to do, but they did it. It was great. So how easy is it to get started? Well, couldn't be easier. There's no barrier to entry at all. First of all, you can have it on your computer just by going to this website, www.9mc.org, and you can download it and click register, or you can copy this link and you can install it on your iPhone or your app phone. You might need a little help with that because it's from a third-party resource, but nevertheless, it's available on everything. And now you've got NovaMind. It's there to help you. All you need when you hit the registration button is a username, which should be your email address. You enter a password, which you can remember. It's rather important, that. And there will be an invitation code. And if there isn't an invitation code, you need to go back to the person who's asked you to be on this presentation today and ask them for it. And then you're going to find yourself having to make two decisions. Number one is, how much are you going to stake? No one can advise you on that because no one here is allowed to give financial advice. But I can remind you that the minimum is $100. Although if you play at that end, it'll take you a long, long, long time to build yourself up to financial freedom. But there is no maximum. And the other thing is you've got to choose which of these 5 plans you want to stake into. Can tell you that if I look at the statistics of the 5,500 people in this team, then 93.6% of them are staked into 360 days, for the simple reason that obviously that gives them the highest daily rate of interest or reward. But I will remind you that don't go bonkers, never invest more than you can afford to lose. So that really concludes this part of the presentation. I've got a couple more things to share with you. The first is I'm going to share with you an Excel spreadsheet. Now, this Excel spreadsheet was designed by this team, by this wonderful lady who's on the call today called Maxine. Seems to be a bit of a genius when it comes to spreadsheets. But we make this spreadsheet available, and by the way, Maxine is magnificent. We make it available to every single member who stakes with 9M in this team and wants to track their daily earnings. Okay, so using the example I used before of $1,000, let's imagine that you live in the UK. So we've translated this Excel spreadsheet into pounds by simply putting the pound-dollar exchange rate 0.76 today. You put in $1,000, so the sheet tells you immediately that's £760. You're staking it let's say for 360 days. So that's 0.72% a day. And today is the 3rd of November. And whether you like it or not, your financial future is now assured. So let's just have a look what happens. The very next day, on the 4th of November, Novamind will pay you $7.20. That's 0.72% of $1,000. It'll therefore take you 15 days to reach $100 plus. You need more because of the 5% exchange fee that the company keeps. So you get to $108, and you've got a choice. Either you take it out and live off it, in which case you'll find that you're actually earning £164 a month, or you could, if you wanted to, give it back to Novamind. We call that restaking. And let's say you restaked on the 19th of November. Novamind would now be working with $1,103, which is going to produce a little bit more, $7.94. So only 14 days to get the next 100. So on the 3rd of December, now you can see what's going on here. So that's 14 days later. You've got $1,200. But that means only 13 days later, you've got another $100. So that's the 16th of December. And by a period somewhere between Christmas and the New Year, you're now on 1,400. And then by the 8th of January, 1,500, the 18th of January, 1,600. So what's going on here is your staking is building. You're building towards your future here. It's building quite quickly as well. But what is also building are your daily earnings, which you can stop at any time. You don't have to restake, in which case you just go to the end of the line and I'll tell you what your monthly income is. But most interesting of all is the number of days that it takes for you to restake is decreasing. So if we were to apply the standard savings procedure of the real financial world, let's say you put $1,000 into a building society or an ISA or a SIP, and they said, well, we'll give you 4% a year, we're going to be generous. You know that your $1,000 at the end of a whole year will be worth $1,040. That's what 4% does. You wouldn't be allowed to take the 1,000 out, because if you did, there'd be a financial penalty. And when you get the 4%, the $40 at the year, you think, well, that's great. My fund's gone up by $40. Let's see where it would have gone up if you gave it to Novamind. Okay, so we'll go to the 4th of November, 2026, which is down here somewhere on line, it's between line 88 and 89. Well, in fact, your staking wouldn't have made you $40. You'll now be up at $11,500, which I think you'll agree is a pretty good rise. And you'll be making about $82 a day, which means you'll be restaking every 2 days. And if you decided to stop it here, your monthly income forever, if you like, will be somewhere around about £1,900 a month. But let's leave it for one more year. Let's tighten our belts a bit and think this is going really well. Let's look at the 4th of November, 2027. And this gave me a bit of a shock the first time I saw it. Quite used to it now. On the 4th of November, 1997, which is on line 435, your staking will have actually risen to almost $140,000. Needless to say, you'll be making $1,000 a day, which means you'll be restaking, obviously, every day. And your monthly residual income will be £22,773 a month. Now, I know it's ridiculous. You think that can't possibly be true, but these are just figures. This is a spreadsheet. That's exactly what's going to happen. Actually, to be honest with you, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be more than that for a couple of reasons. The first is that if you're earning this amount of USDM on a daily basis, just look how much you're earning here, you're going to be using some of that to go into the stable fund. Let's just have a quick look at the 9MC fund here. The same figures, $1,000 invested today, where would you be on the 4th of November, 2027 with just $1,000 invested into the stable fund? That means, of course, you will have had to have saved up $300 in USDM to be able to get there. But if you had $1,000 in the stable fund, by the 4th of November 2027, we've got to scroll down quite a long way, almost to the end of the spreadsheet here. There it is, on line 499. you'd have $339,000 staked here, and your monthly residual income would be £65,000 a month. It's, when I show this to people, I mean, honestly, they really do find it hard to deal with those figures. But nevertheless, this will be your spreadsheet when you start, and you can play with it to your heart's content. But what I will show you is a real account. Now, I'm not really allowed to do this because other people's finances are they are covered under various data protection laws. However, this is an account that I set up, and it's completely phony. I entered an email address, let's say abc@gmail.com, and I registered it with Novamind, sponsored it myself, and I stuck the minimum amount of money you can possibly stick into this account. So I'm a patient guy. So if we have a look at what I actually gave Novamind when I started this, you'll see here that on the 7th of August, I gave Novamind the lowest amount that I give it, $100, right? And I let it chug away, earning its daily percentage in the strategy fund. And strangely enough, on the 31st of October, that's quite a long time after this, on the 31st of October, it had generated enough money for me to stake another $100. And because I wanted to show this as an example, instead of doing it all in USDT, as I did down there, I put $70 in USDT, which I'd earned from Novamind, and I converted $30 of it into Bitcoin. So this was a 70-30 stake. And that one, as you can see, this little tiny blue thing there, has been chugging away for the last 4 days. 31st of October, today is the 3rd of November. So if we could pop around to the assets, this is where you see what you're earning. And you go to your investment income, which is where the money comes in on a daily basis. Well, I showed this a couple of days ago, and in the last couple of days, there is an extra $1.62. So let's just look at this. There's $3.39 there, and there's $1.62 waiting to be withdrawn. So let's withdraw it. I'm going to put it onto the platform wallet. I'm going to take all of it, and watch this. 162, but I will receive 153 because the company gets to keep 5%. There's the 5% there. So if I confirm that, that's now sitting, I'm delighted to say, in here. You just saw it go up to 492. It's inevitable that this account will go up to $100 over a period of time when I will restake it again and follow Maxine's spreadsheet. But what is amusing about this is, first of all, I wanted to show you what happens to the USDM. I just got paid that in USDM, $1.53. But I don't want it in USDM. I want it in USDT. I'll keep the last 30 in USDM, might put something into the stable fund. But anyway, let's change it. I just want to see how easy it is. So there's the USDM. We're changing it into USDT. We're going to click this button all, 153. You get 153 because there's no fee for this. Confirm it. And it's done. Everything is now in the assets fund here, and you can see it's 492 in USDT. So that's this. The other thing that's slightly amusing about this is sometimes when people see this presentation, for one reason or another, they actually make a very strange decision, and that's not to participate. Personally, I think everybody in the world can risk $100 or 75 quid at least. And many, of course, want to risk more than that, because this fund, which was a $100 fund, it cannot stop itself from earning me £30,000, £40,000 a month within a 3-year period. It cannot. And this is just a phony fund. That's all it is. So just thought I'd share that with you, because we take this very seriously. Now, what we do here in this team is we do these presentations every single night, except for Saturday. So Monday to Friday, there's always a presentation happening at 8 o'clock. I do the one tonight on Monday. Maxine, who got the spreadsheet, give us all Maxine, is doing the one on tomorrow night. We call it our ladies' night. Now, that doesn't mean you guys are excluded. It just means if you can bring a lady to the presentation, that would be great. On Wednesday, it's the turn of Colin Simmons, phenomenal presenter, as is my friend Tony Becker, who does the one on Thursday. But Tony does an amazing training on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And that training takes people briefly through the back office. What I've just shown you shows you how to put money in, how to take it out, all those sort of things. And he also does, one or two subjects that will help you grow your team if you want to, like inviting skills and things like that. Now, on Saturday morning, we do a much more in-depth advanced training for 1.5 hours between 10 and 11:30. That's usually done by myself, and I teach you the skills required in building a team in a business like this. Look, there are people in this team who in 5 months are earning more than 7 figures in a year. I know that's ridiculous to believe, and yes, we can prove it to you. But if you're going to do that kind of thing, it's a real business, and it's going to take real concentrated hard work and effort to do it. But 5 months to a 7-figure income, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. And I know one or two other people on there have never seen anything like it before in their life. So that's what's on the table for you. And that really brings us to an end of our presentation, except to say that you'll notice behind Tony, Maxine's and my head, Barcelona on November the 29th. Look, this is a global summit. If you want to meet Chris Chang, the CEO, he'll be there. If you want to meet the Dean of the Academy, the Vice Dean, the trainers, they'll be there. You want to meet the leaders of Europe, they will all be there. You want to meet my sponsor, James Lee, he's coming over from Singapore, he'll be there. That is the place for you to answer the only thing that I haven't dealt with this evening. Every one of you who's seen this for the first time is saying to yourself the same thing, the old elephant in the room, as they say. Is this really going to last for a year, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? There's no easy answer to that. It's been run brilliantly by Chris Chang, and my 5 months in the company has given me that utter confidence that this is not only well run, but it's here to stay. The CEO is keeping a very, very, very tight control on the bottom line of the company, but Novamind is producing, and you will see it in Barcelona actually working. So if you want to feel the way I feel and have the faith and confidence not only to do this, but also to share it, you'll be in Barcelona on the 29th and 30th. And hey, Barcelona is a beautiful city. We're going to have lots of food and tapas and sangrias and all that sort of thing, and probably 2 amazing days on Saturday and Sunday. So that's my presentation. Just want to say thank you all for giving me an hour of your Monday night. Tomorrow night, it'll be Maxine with the same story done by the Maxine way. And if you do have any questions, please do get back to the person who invited you this evening and get them to help you answer their questions. Don't worry if they can't, because they'll get onto one of the leaders, and we're delighted to help absolutely everybody. So have a super Monday evening, and I hope you see real potential and real, what can I say, light at the end of the tunnel for your financial future, because it can change very, very quickly with this. Have a great evening, guys. All the best, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Tony.
Welcome. See you tomorrow, Maxine.
Bye.
Cheers.
That was excellent. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. Just hope you all understood it the first time. I didn't.
Are you staying on this one, Tony, or we go on to another?
And now I'll meet you in my other room.
Okay,
Tony.
cool.
All right.
Cheers, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheerio.
Thank you so much.